Joe and Mika Brzezinski bend the knee. They went down to Mar-a-Lago and met with Trump. This comes after years of these two castigating and scolding President Trump and the right, calling him a fascist, somebody who abuses women, somebody who's an insurrectionist, who's going to be the individual who destroys America, so on and so forth. They moseyed on down. Once Trump won, they decided, we'll just attach ourselves to him as they've done their entire career and see if they can mend the fence. So what they have now done is caused a ruckus on X. Brian Stelter is saying Joe and Mika went to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump over the weekend. Brian Stelter, remember him? Another person Trump basically eliminated. First face-to-face meeting in 7 years, they say. So there's two exchanges on this. And then President Trump, my understanding is, I'm going to pull this up, has already responded to this. We'll see what he said.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues.
Didn't see eye to eye.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deep...
Man, this must be devastating to their audience. Their audience is sitting there saying, why would you ever negotiate with Adolf? And now you went and sat down and had tea with him?
Really divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking.
Good Lord. This is pathetic. How do they have even any credibility left at all? It feels like a hostage video almost, like they're panicked or something. There's somebody with a knife to their backs or something. Or are they just that much of a fair weather fans? They just make an abrupt shift. As soon as Trump wins, they have to attach to his wagon. Otherwise, they're doomed. Is this an MSNBC is going under situation? Are they going to become conservatives again? Remember, Joe Scarborough used to be on Team Trump. Then they flipped to be against Team Trump. Now they're on Team Trump again. They're just trying to stay relevant. Is that what this is? They know America is going MAGA, and so they want to get on board. They weren't done. There was another exchange here. It's time to try something different. So they wrote this whole thing out and they delivered this to their audience. It's shocking. Their audience must be devastated.
As somebody close to Donald Trump told me this past weekend, this is a president who's not seeking re-election. So maybe, just maybe, now could be the time for both parties to get to work. And I know, given the jarring headlines that we read every day, that may seem like a stretch, but think about this.
What?
Of the 150 million votes cast.
You write the headlines, guys, on MSNBC. You're the ones who keep saying it's over. I know the headlines are scary that we wrote this morning. But despite all that,
Donald Trump got 50%. Kamala Harris got about 49%. So I don't know. Seems to make sense for leaders of both parties to seek common ground, if it's possible at all. And I will tell you, a lot of Democratic leaders we've talked to this past week, since the election, have told Mika and me it's time for a new approach. And when I say top Democrats, they said we're open, and this was before we talked to Donald Trump. They said, listen, we're open to working with the incoming president if the incoming president is open to working with us.
Yeah, the question is, though, how do we get there? Hyperbole and personal attacks.
That's all they do is come up with hyperbole and personal attacks. This is a very strange thing that we're watching here together. Are they trying to become conservatives or something? And do they think that conservatives are going to start watching their show again? I'm surprised that Trump met with him. I'm not surprised that Trump met with them because that's Trump. But what are they doing here? Every single person who's left was probably clinging on for dear life because these two were going to adhere to their so-called values over this next term. And now they're abandoning them. Brutal.
Will not work. My hair on fire doesn't work. We've all seen that. What also does not work is threatening political opponents with arrest, harassment, and even jail.
You did that to Bannon and Navarro, and you raided Trump's house.
Has proven that
Mika?
Impeachments and trials turn those on trial into political martyrs and only make them more popular with the American people. Just ask Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. We know this will be a consequential presidency. The question is whether it will be constructive. It will take a new approach from all sides, from both parties, and a leader who can bring them together. And only time will tell if Donald Trump is that leader. As for us, we also let him know that we will continue to speak truth to power and push back hard when called for, as we have with all presidents.
Okay,
Don't
Joe,
be mistaken.
your turn, Joe. Your turn.
We're not here to defend or normalize Donald Trump.
Yes, you are. You just did. You just sat down and had lunch with him.
Here to report on him and to hopefully provide you insights that are going to better equip all of us in understanding these deeply unsettling times. And I am reminded of what Marty Baron, legendary editor, told his Washington Post reporters back in the first term. We're not going to war. We're going to work.
Okay, this is one of the most pathetic things we've ever seen from the Joe and Mika Brzezinski show, which is saying a lot. Holy moly. I don't even know how to process this. Do they have any moral compass or any values at all, even a semblance of them in their bones? They were on Team Trump. Remember, Mika was petting his hair. I love your hair. I want to just, and Joe's, will you stop touching him? This is weird. This is a little weird. Maybe they're into it. I don't know. But they're married, whatever it is. Anyways, they're together. She was petting him, waving it through the hair. Then they flipped to be anti-Trump. Now they're on Team Trump again. If I had to guess, I would imagine that these people, obviously it's Mika Brzezinski, is a big news daughter. And I would imagine that they are very closely related to intelligence, CIA in particular, if not directly CIA. And this makes me interested in what this tactic is. They're showing their bellies. Remember, we talked about this earlier. They're showing their bellies all over the place. Democrats, no, let's play ball. We'll be nice to you. We'll be nice to you. And I'm not really buying it. So I know that Trump will keep people at arm's length and then bring them back into the fold and keep them at arm's length and bring them back into the fold. And obviously he's much more sophisticated than yours truly here. But I would be very cautious with these two because they have already shown a history of stabbing anybody in the back that they're inclined to stab in the back. And this is not normal behavior. This is psychotic behavior. And they can't come back and feign unity all of a sudden. Now we're gonna be unified because it's in the better interest of America or something. No. You guys were on the show every day screaming 5-alarm fire, category DEFCON 5. We're all gonna die any day now. And then you call, you're like, can we come hang out with you? And then you come tell your audience the opposite of that. Man, talk about a reverse shift, a reverse course. If you were in a relationship with somebody like this, you'd be like, you're crazy. How could you say all of those other things? Were you being dishonest back then? Because it certainly seems like it. We know what the truth is now. They are still talking about this. So we've got Scarborough and Mika. They went down to Mar-a-Lago, kissed the ring, bend the knee. We love you, Trump. Hey, please keep us relevant. Nobody's paying attention to us anymore. So maybe we can be part of your, maybe they want to be like RFK or something. RFK Jr., or maybe they want to be like Tulsi, like we're gonna be like Team Unity or something like that. No, not welcome. But okay, here's this guy. He says, Trump is coming in. It's like the Roman Colosseum, baby. He's like Caesar. He's like taken over the entire capital. All of Washington has now been conquered by MAGA.
He's flooded the zone with these picks and forced Republicans to choose. And I think it's interesting to me that he brought Tulsi Gabbard to the UFC event last night. He is frankly giving, I think, supporter-based permission structure, and he's made these folks stars over the course of this campaign. I mean,
yeah.
in some ways, it's easy to view this, I think, through a different lens. Like, this is also just a person who won following through on campaign promises. He promised retribution, he promised vengeance, and he promised these kind of figures having prominent places in this administration, and he's delivering it. And for a lot of those supporters, that is the point of the Trump vote. And so I don't think that's the fullness of the electorate we saw on Tuesday. I think for a lot of people, they back Trump probably as a rejection of the administration.
Look at Trump and Joe Rogan giving each other a nice big hug. Hey, thanks, Joe, for helping to get out the vote.
Thinking of this as an endorsement of every single thing he's talked about. But for the hardcore base, the folks he listens to the most, they voted for Trump for the purposes of RFK Jr. riling the big pharma, right? And what they are going to force those Republican senators to do is make a choice on those calls, and they will be doing so with the backing of the electorate. I don't think we can just say that they won't get through. I will believe it when I see it.
Yeah, and it really looks like ancient Rome here. This is a conquering Republican Caesar who's going into the Colosseum.
You better believe it, buddy.
Cheering, and he's got his political gladiators with him. that appearance isn't just about him enjoying the applause. He's sending a message to the Senate.
For sure.
Like, not only are you entertained, but these are my people, and are you willing to fight? Because here's who I have.
And are any of us
All right, that guy's going into the ring next. Throw him into the Coliseum next. He's going in.
surprised by this? I feel like for anybody who has been covering Trump's campaign or his movement the past few years, these picks, sure, they're raising eyebrows to say the least, but
familiar characters.
Yes, exactly. They've been with him at all these rallies. They've played a key role in where he's at now.
Yeah.
All right, so Trump's coming in. You can hear like the glitch on in there. And at the end of the event, after the fight had concluded, this gentleman, Jones, won the event. There's Rogan, and they're having a conversation about the victory. And here's what he said.
I'm sure. I also want to say,
there's Elon right there. Everybody's there, man.
what do you guys think about my version of the Donald Trump? Check it out.
Looking good. Looking good.
USA, let's go. I'm proud. I'm proud to be a great American champion. I'm proud to be a Christian American champion.
Let's go, baby. All right, so you can see that's some good MAGA energy in the house. Even Mike Johnson was posting pics. Mike Johnson, right? You can imagine Mike Johnson's the guy who maybe doesn't get out too much, at home reading policy papers or something like that. So it's fun to see him out and about. He said, UFC at MSG was epic, baby. And so there's the whole crew. There's the Trump fam, RFK, there's Tulsi, Mike Johnson there. Mike Johnson, he feels a little out of place. Like you never see him in this context, right? It's funny to watch him. So he's there. And who else is there? There's Dana White, RFK, and Trump. Nice seat right there. Nice seat ringside. Here's some more of everybody who's there. Vivek joins in on the crew, on the crowd. And here's another one of Mike Johnson. Hilarious. I love it. Mike Johnson. Yeah, baby, let's get a selfie with Kid Rock and this other gentleman who's also amazing. So hilarious. So that's what is happening. Everybody's celebrating. Tremendous victory. And even Mika and Joe Brzezinski bend the knee, kiss the ring. Trump's back in charge. Jelly Roll is the name. Jelly Roll. Oh, it's good times. Making America great again. Kid Rock, Jelly Roll, Mike Johnson, all in it together. All right, so fun stuff over there.